Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Sinanacone back for another story time. And it's November, which means it is Native American Heritage Month. And this month we're going to learn a little bit about different Native Americans. And some of the information I'm going to give you next is from this book, Native American History for Kids by Karen Bush Gibson. And when you think of Native Americans, you might think of somebody who looks like this, or a scene that looks like this from the first Thanksgiving. But the reality is Native Americans look different. There are different cultures and customs and ways of living based on the environments in which they found themselves. There are 562 federally recognized nations or tribes, which means there are 562 at least different histories and stories of different tribes. And Native Americans are no more alike than all Americans are alike. In fact, you might think that Native Americans are no longer around because most of the images we have of them are from the past. But there are still Native Americans living today, right now. And there are a lot of stories in history that we don't teach about Native Americans, about how they were rounded up and put into boarding schools so they could learn the white man's ways. And yet still, they prevailed. This is Jim Thorpe, who ended up playing for the New York Giants. And these are Navajo code talkers who helped the United States win World War II. And this man is named John Harrington. He was the first Native American in space in 2002. So Native Americans are still alive and well and living among us. Today's story comes to us from the Cherokee Nation, which is a tribe that's still alive and well today. It was originally in the Tennessee and North Carolina regions, and a lot of the tribesmen, even back in the day, adopted European ways of living and dressing. And this man is named Sequoyah, and he was someone who could speak English, but he never learned to write it. And since he wanted to create a writing system for the Cherokee people, he did that. It took time to create those symbols, but he did it. He created 85 symbols to represent sounds and taught them to his daughter and eventually to the rest of his tribe. And today's story is called We Are Grateful Otsaliheliga, which is on the cover, and it's the Cherokee language. It's also printed in that script. And you can see that this book won an award, the Robert F. Siebert Award, which is for an informational book. And this is a nonfiction book. It's by Tracy Sorrell and illustrated by Frene Lesac. And Tracy Sorrell is a member of the Cherokee Nation. And she wrote this book when she realized there were no children's books that featured contemporary, which means current, Native Americans. And so, we are grateful. Otsaliheliga. Cherokee people say Otsaliheliga to express gratitude. It is a reminder to celebrate our blessings and reflect on struggles daily throughout the year and across the seasons. Uli gohasti, fall. When cool breezes blow and leaves fall, we say Otsaliheliga. As shell shakers dance all night around the fire and burnt cedar's scent drifts upward during the great new moon ceremony. As we clean our houses, wear new clothes, enjoy a feast, and forget old quarrels to welcome the Cherokee New Year. While we collect buckbrush and honeysuckle to weave baskets, to remember our ancestors who suffered hardship and loss on the Trail of Tears, and have hope as our Elise, grandma, cradles the newest member of the family and reveals his Cherokee name. Gola, winter. As bears sleep deep and snow blankets the ground, we say Otsaliheliga. While elders share stories and we savor buttery bean bread and steamy hominy soup. When we feed our animal and bird friends. as older children teach the younger ones how to make corn husk dolls and play cane flutes. While we gather to remember an uncle who has passed on, as men cuddle babies and sing traditional lullabies in Jalagi, Cherokee. Gogeyi, spring. When showers fill streams and shoots spring up, we say Otsaliheliga. While men sing asking for thunder and lightning's protection of the emerging sprouts that women tend, as we gather wild onions, spring's first food, and serve them with hen's eggs. As we practice patience to sew pucker-toe moccasins and coil clay to build beautiful pots. As we plant ani, strawberries, and ancestral stories, sweet-smelling reminder not to argue with each other. As we embrace a clan relative heading off to serve our country. Goji, summer. As the crops mature and the sun scorches, we say Otsaliheliga. When we grasp our gigs and wade into the cool creek to catch crawdads for supper. As we sink our teeth into the season's first harvest at the green corn ceremony. While we click-clack sticks, chase a small ball and fling it high at the stickball game pole. When we recall the ancestors' sacrifices to preserve our way of life. To celebrate Nulistani Dola, history, and listen to our tribal leaders speak at Cherokee National Holiday. Every day, every season, Otsaliheliga, we are grateful. So what did you think? I feel like I learned a lot about the Cherokee Nation from this book. And I want to read to you a little bit from the author's note. Cherokee people believe that recognizing and honoring the ways that the sacred and the duties of daily life are interwoven requires effort, ritual, and awareness, but above all gratitude. She is grateful for the opportunity to provide a contemporary view of Cherokee culture in this book. From her childhood until today, there have been few books that show present-day Cherokee children and their families. Many of us, she says, still observe the ancestral and ceremonial ways of life. They also live and work in the modern non-Cherokee world. Cherokee people are citizens of our tribal nation and of the United States. And that's about it for this week. I hope you liked it. If you'd like to meet me, you can go to meet.google.com/lookup/GPKJIEVH5Y during your regular encore time, which is 1:30 to 2 p.m. Remember to read good books, stay safe, wash your hands, and that I love you. Have a good one.